Y2K is an A24 movie starring so many people. Kyle Mooney from SNL, Jonah Hill, I believe, was a director, Ben Winter as a writer, a directorial debut for Kyle Mooney. It is inspired by the old school coming of age movies, teen comedies. It reminds me a lot of Superbad. They said they were inspired by things like American Pie and 10 Things I Hate About You, things from the late 90s, early 2000s. Disaster comedy, horror comedy movie for sure, leaning more on the comedy and coming of age side of things. I enjoyed the nostalgia of the movie, from the fashion, the lingo, the music, the media, hearing the clacking of the keyboards, the AOL sounds, how the internet actually looked back then. I do remember Y2K. I was young. I wasn't in high school like they were, but I was old enough to remember it and to remember the fear surrounding it. And this movie is basically what if things really would have went wrong during Y2K and the machines could have taken over. But still, I think that theme resonates with today, with all of the talk of AI and the threat to humanity from that point of view. So different time periods, same questions, only in this movie it comes true. I thought this movie was actually really funny. I was not looking forward to this movie. I saw the trailer. I wasn't interested. My friend was like, it's going to be one of those ones that you're not interested in, but you're going to like. And I'm like, okay. I did actually. Parts of the movie are the awkward kids, even the ones that are supposed to be more popular really are still, of course, just regular people, and I enjoyed seeing friendships blossom and some character development in some of these young people. Kyle Mooney was also in the movie as this hippie character. I think the movie did a really fun job with showing sort of the high school archetypes of different types of cliques, and even outside of school, what those different types of people may look like. There's a couple of characters that are really into music. One specifically is into lyrical rap, and apparently that was inspired by Kyle because he had an underground rap group when he was in high school, and that inspired him to do that type of character. And other characters were inspired by people he's seen in his life as well, and especially for the time period, you will recognize some of these types of people, and you may have known these types of people. I saw a few reviews of this movie that didn't really like it, which was interesting to me because for me, I enjoyed that it was silly. I felt like it was supposed to be silly. I don't think everything needed to make sense with how the robots came together and, oh, that can't happen and this can't happen. It's sci-fi anyway, and I understand it could have been more realistic, but I like that it was a little more slapstick in its approach because the awkwardness of the comedy worked for me in many of the areas. Some of the reviewers, and they're reviewers I appreciate and often trust, they are a little older than I am. I don't know if that had anything to do with getting the comedy or not, but I enjoyed the silliness of this movie. There's a scene where something gross and a lot of action is happening, and they're playing Brian McKnight in the background. I like that they tried to show several types of genres of music from the 90s and not just one group. So if you were there, you're going to be like, I remember that. Also, I see some people were worried that people won't get some of the references, but as we get more movies from this time period, or people watch movies from this time period, I don't think it'll be that hard to get just how I enjoy movies from decades that I did not exist in. It's not something that can just be a total miss, I think, just because of that. I know some people wondering, who is this movie for? Is it for young people? They're not going to get it. And for the older people, it may seem too silly because it's about high schoolers, but I really liked it. I think this is one of those movies that probably didn't do well in theaters, but I think years from now can have a cult following for a directorial debut. I think it was a good first movie for Kyle, and I also think it was pretty different for A24, but like the acting was solid, the practical effects looked pretty good. I do wish it had more actual horror. That's probably my biggest wish, that it had more of, but outside of that, I still just enjoyed it as a movie.